Hey, what's up, mafias? Welcome back to the commute. And in this video, I'm joined by Raj Abimanyu. He works as a lead product engineer in Razorpay. So there'll be a lot to learn here. We'll be talking about performance in XML versus Compose, performance optimizations. We'll be talking about Android development in general, how to become a better Android developer, how to choose between XML and Compose. So there'll be a lot of topics covered, and hopefully you guys really enjoy it. And if you did, you know what to do: like, share, and subscribe. And for now, let's get started. I usually start off this podcast by asking a very simple question to everyone. How do you define stable
Mhm.
life for yourselves?
Yeah, so for me, life is never going to be stable. I
Mhm.
think today it is fine, and tomorrow there may be some problem. But according to we should have that confident. I mean, the stable life is if there is a problem that coming tomorrow, that we should not have that much pressure. Like there is something is coming tomorrow. We should be ready in all the aspects, be in financial or emotional support to handle those things. So for me, that is the stable life. And then one more thing is so whatever it is, I mean, so consider you're going to lay off tomorrow by your company.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but you can able to get the job in the next 1 or 2 months.
Mhm.
If you have such a confidence in your life, then for me that is the stable life,
Mhm.
because now life is never going to be like smoother always.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're able to upgrade yourself and you are able to fight the situation, then yeah, that is the stable life.
Mhm. I understand this. I usually try to ask this question because I usually try to understand what a person is thinking when they are
uh,
when they are trying to understand and break down the
mm,
process of stable life, because
mm,
people tend to value different things in their life. Some people
uh,
value stability with money,
mm,
others value money more as compared to stability. That's why they can become founders overall.
mm,
And
yes, yes.
there are different certain goals. That's why I try to ask what the stability means in their life.
Mm.
Other than that, yeah, what's your story? How did you get into Android development as such? How did you become a developer overall? How did you go pass out from the college to become Android developer? Yeah.
Yeah, so in my childhood, I always used to wonder about the technologies. I mean, technology like the simple one. I don't have the mobile or a laptop during my childhood. I mean, 11th or 12th standard. But I like to watch how the people are using those things, how it is working. I don't know how it is working, but I need to study about those.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friend told me like you need to go to this, you need to take this degree, computer science, and I took that.
Mm-hmm.
And then during my second year of college, during that time also I don't have any laptop to study. But fortunately, one of my relatives, he started one web designing company.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I have two friends in my college who are very, very exceptional knowledge in coding.
Mm-hmm.
I think they came from same school. In their school, they taught programming, coding, problem solving in the 11th standard itself, from 11th standard itself.
Mm-hmm.
They used to teach that. So I got some knowledge from them. They are like a role model for me at that time. And then I went to that. He asked me, like I told you, like one of my relatives started this web designing company.
Mm-hmm.
He asked me there. I mean, you need to come here and work on this. And I was very excited about that and went there. There I got a laptop. I used to learn these HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all those things, and I helped him to make some beautiful websites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he doesn't know anything about this, but yeah, I was. There were people, one myself and one more another person who are doing. I mean, he is having some kind of experience in the web development. He is doing all kind of stuff. So I learned from them.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, again during the third year, I actually at that point of time my goal was to start do one startup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I need to start some business or some kind of thing. So at that time, so I know these websites. I know how to do the backend. I knew PHP that time. And during third year, we would be having some subject called DBMS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and end of the third year, we have to do some the DBMS projects. I
Mm-hmm.
think some management system projects. So I know. I mean, I know this web and management system how to do things. So during that time, I used to do the some management like hotel booking management or gym membership management, library management. Those kind of projects I used to do for other students,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to charge for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I get money from them. Yeah, it started like that only, and then in my around my college there were so many small portals were there, and I went there, or I used to call them and then ask them for do you need a website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very good at website. I'm coming from this college. I'll introduce myself and I go there and I display what are the things I have done before. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, some of them will trust me and give me the opportunity to do their websites. So it all
Mm-hmm.
started like that only. During at that point of time, yeah, doing any kind of, I mean, doing some business in this using technology. That was my aim. So
Mm-hmm.
it started like that during my
Mm-hmm.
college. And then yeah, everything was in web. But in the fourth year, my very first company is called as Zoho.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it came to our college. They are very specific that they need an Android developer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know much about. I don't nothing about the Android. But their interview process for that specific role is little different, because
Mm-hmm.
companies usually for interns they will ask basic DS algorithms and other stuff, but they are very specific to Android. So they came up with like they gave one assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like you can work from 3 days and you can use internet also. So that
Mm-hmm.
was my first time I built on Android app. Basically, it should display. I mean, it should query the contacts we have in our phone, and we
Mm-hmm.
need to display in a recycler view. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first time. I used to refer some blogs in the internet. Then I built that app and sent to them, and they were fine with that. And then they called up for interview. And yeah, during the interview, the two rounds were another Android assignment.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to finish it in 1.5 hours. Again, they gave us the option to use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You need to fetch an data from the some web services. They will give the URL and it will give you the JSON, and we need to
Mm-hmm.
display in the recycler view. And the next round was they will give some. They gave us one project, and in that project they inserted some bugs,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to resolve those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, we can use the internet. And the final round is the DS and the algorithms that I can able to
Mm-hmm.
pass. So this is how my Android development starts. But for me, Android development is much more difficult than the web development at that point
Mm-hmm.
of time,
Mm-hmm.
because in web development everything is naive and straightforward. You can simply start writing whatever you want, but here I don't know much about this interfaces overriding.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I know, but yeah, slowly I learned everything,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's been
Interesting.
7 years. Yeah.
Super interesting stuff. You were a hustler back then, and that's so great to hear.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wish I
I
was.
want to bring
Yeah,
that hustler now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I, I wish I was a hustler back then when I was in college. I was always thinking, but I was overthinking it. I never got to, part of asking things. I should have
uh,
asked more, and
mm,
that's the part of being a hustler, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that time I used to watch some business videos. I used to watch there was some one series. My friend introduced me. Like there was one series, like three or four of them, bad piper.
Mm.
Uh, they will invent some a software called Backpiper, and they will do a startup on that, and they will become a multimillionaire using that app.
Mm.
So after seeing those videos, yeah, at that point of time, we don't know nothing about that. I straight away I want to join up. I want to start our business with using these technologies like that. Yeah,
Mm.
so yeah, at that point of time, I was like that only.
Yeah, super interesting stuff, and yeah, super inspiring for anyone who is actually in the college right now. I think
Oh,
so. They should go for hustling, because I don't think you get the time to hustle when you're in jobs, until unless
yes,
you
yes,
actually leave your job and take the full on risk to
mm,
become a freelancer. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
that switch is difficult in jobs itself, but in college you actually have a lot of free time, and
Mm,
that's the premium time, because it's the time to build things.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, 100% super interesting stuff. um you talked about your Android development journey. You have been like in Android for a while now, because like I can see on LinkedIn that you have a lot of like experience in Android. What's your
Yes.
what's your overall overview over Android development industry in general? Like, where do you see the trend going overall in terms of technologies and tech stack, as well as what do you think about the future of Android according to you?
Yeah, future of Android is, I think it is better, is very much solid now. I mean, if you see the Android or iOS, the both are very much solid now. They nothing is going to replace them for the next 5 to 6 years. But in terms of the tech stack, I can see there is some slight
Mhm.
shift to the hybrid apps in some companies.
Mhm.
Yeah, but even if you ask me if I need to start a company now, I need
Mhm.
to if I need to build one mobile app. That is, I
Mhm.
consider that is a very simple mobile app, like fetching a data from server and showing to the UI. That's all.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't want to much invest on the native side for
Mhm.
both the Android and iOS.
Mhm.
I may go with the Flutter or React Native.
Mhm.
But once my company went big, that's a huge
Mhm.
ask. Yeah, it went big and it has some 1 million customers. Not like a customers, but my app became very wider and it had some 30 to 40 modules. Now it
Mhm.
is very difficult to manage with the React Native or Flutter as of now.
Mhm.
I need to migrate to native.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, if you're on a startup and if you need to build MVPs and need to deliver quickly, then we can go with React. I
Mhm.
mean, with the hybrid apps. Or
Mhm.
otherwise, native is always a better option to go because
Mhm.
around most of the 70% of the apps were in native now as of now.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, and one more thing is if your app focuses mainly on the hardware side, if you need to pull out everything from the hardware, and if your app is it should be very efficient and like a video player or AR
Mhm.
VR, then you should have, and your app is going to play a lot of with a camera, then you need
Mhm.
to choose the native only. There are no other options. But
Mhm.
otherwise, if your app is very simple, and one more thing is if your app is going to, I mean, if your business needs, your app should be very very fluid. It should if it should have a butter smooth UI, like
Mhm.
if you see Telegram or Cred payment app, if you can see like even if you install in the higher end model devices or the lower end model devices, the
Mhm.
UI will work very smoothly. So in
Mhm.
that case also you need to choose a native Android development. Otherwise for me the hybrid is enough.
Mhm. I get it. I totally get
Mhm.
it. Working on like hybrid apps is much more easier. You have a single team and they maintain a
Mm,
single code base. And if it's
mm,
just a simple CRUD app, it's very easy
mm,
to navigate what the app is actually going to do. And it's just an enough of an app and an MVP, where
mm,
we are trying to
mm,
actually get the users on board and trying to figure out what features actually
mm,
work in the overall market,
yes, yes.
and try
Mm,
to grow the company from zero. And I think so this is what how every company is targeting their things, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going from they're building on hybrid, and then they're going from hybrid to bridging to native. And
Yeah.
how this is how I think every app industry in general is working, because I've seen Make My Trip, I've seen Grow, I've seen Notion
Mm-hmm.
in itself. All
Mm-hmm.
of them went from React Native to native, and they
Yeah,
might,
even Book My Show, right? Book My Show,
I think,
I
yeah,
think.
Book My Show as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they were bridging right now, but they have a little bit of bridges still, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
very big code base. But
Mm-hmm.
they still they are doing management in native, and of course native
Mm-hmm.
will give you much better performance than what a hybrid app does. But hybrid app will give you faster overall feedback from your customer, and that's what
Yes,
every
yes.
company asks for in the longer run. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's what app industry holds. But yeah, I kind of think about with the new technologies like KMP and CMP. I think that would be something interesting to see when native development is possible in hybrid levels. That would be super interesting to see. What's your thinking on that as well? Like like making hybrid from Kotlin multi-platform and Compose multi-platform. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that is a very good option, but still, the developers need to have the knowledge about iOS and Android as well, because the UI layer you need to write in. If you're using KMP, then UI layer you need to write in. For Android, you have to write in Kotlin, and for iOS, you have to write in Swift or C++.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so but it's a little difficult to find such developers as of now. Maybe in the
Mm-hmm.
future, because if you see React Native, it will communicate with the native during the runtime. That is
Mm-hmm.
the performance over here. And if you see the Flutter, then the UI is same for both the Android and iOS. Some
Mm-hmm.
users may not find that much good, because they need the iOS feel. iPhone users, they need the iOS look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that also somewhere. But KMP is doesn't have such problems. But
Mhm,
yeah, it is just a starting. Maybe in future it. I think the development is little bit complex than the
mhm,
React Native and Flutter.
mhm.
Yeah, but going forward, if one developer have the knowledge about the UI perspective, then yeah, definitely it's a very good decision to choose the KMP.
Yeah, I think it's just depends upon if the developer is that experienced or not. If
Mm,
somehow
mm,
the co-founder or a CTO is starting the company, and they are technically aligned well into the app industry, and they understand Kotlin and Swift because of their experience overall in the app
mm,
industry, it might just work out
yes.
that they make a
Uh,
KMP app, and it's there. But of course KMP is in its infancy. There's not a
mm,
lot of support there, and it's a pretty new technology. So
mm,
I think it will of course take time to hold, but yeah, it's an interesting sight to see. And
yes.
yeah, that would be if we can spot more KMP apps in the future, that would be super interesting to see.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Because we know Kotlin, and we know everything in the Kotlin and Android development.
yeah,
For our Android developers, it is easier to shift
yeah,
to
100%.
KMP.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some of the backend as well. I didn't know that Spring Boot can be written in Kotlin as well, but it was super interesting to see how Kotlin can be transferred from backend, front end, even websites
Mm-hmm.
with Compose multi-platform. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes, yes.
is far fetched. But as much as I can see, Kotlin might be used in a very broader sense for if you are a startup. It might be that Kotlin might be at your advantage if you just understand, if you have a lot of experience under your belt. That's what
Mm-hmm.
my thinking is. um,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about that, you told me that you reduced the app startup time recently. um,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah, what's your story behind that? How did you do that?
Yeah, story behind that. So basically, we are working for the POS devices.
Mm-hmm.
When you can see in store, you can swipe the card. That was the device that the OS is Android for that, and we do Android apps for the payment apps.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, those POS devices came with a very limited hardware.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has Android 8, and it has a camera, it has a chip EMV chip reader, and it has a wireless card reader like NFC,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has a printer too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the RAM is 1 GB.
Wow.
Mm, yeah. And if you see our business, the UI always comes up with the little heavier, heavy UI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have so many components on the UI side that we need to run our UI smoothly in that. So mainly what we are doing is we have whatever the UI we got is, will work fine in our mobile devices, which
Mm-hmm.
has 4 to 8 GB of RAM. That works fine in our mobile devices, but
Mm-hmm.
it won't work that much smooth in the POS devices.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we need to tweak so many things. We need to do some hacks as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they are giving you something like a tab layout, then we don't want to implement the actual tab layout. We
Mm-hmm.
need to tweak somewhere. We need to build our own custom tab layout, because the tab layout from the Android SDK will do so many kinds of stuff. I mean, if you see the tab layout code, it is very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That will take some time, even 700 milliseconds to inflate.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need all those features from the tab layout from the Android SDK, so we need to build our custom tab layout. That
Mm-hmm.
will it will inflate in some 30 to 40 milliseconds. So those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of work we have done. We have done so many things. So first of all, I have used the CPU profiler in the Android Studio.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be well versed with that CPU profiler first. So if your app is doing where it is doing so many work, and where it got stuck, then you can inspect those in the CPU profiler actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran the CPU profiler, and we saw so many things that is blocking the main thread to render the frames. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing is, so we have one Pojo object that we are converting multiple times to from JSON to Pojo object. So
Mm-hmm.
that I found out, and make some optimizations whether we need so many conversions or one conversion is needed, and we can reuse that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one optimization. It gave us some time. It reduces some time, and another one is. We can see like basically what we are doing in for inflating the image values. We will in the XML side we will put the image view, and then we will give the asset for that image view in the XML itself, some default asset.
Mm-hmm.
And in the runtime in programmatically, if we need to switch
Mm-hmm.
to any other image icon, we will do
Mm-hmm.
that in programmatically. In
Mm-hmm.
POS devices, if you see that takes for inflating one image view, it consumed 50 milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
in our screen, it has 10 to 15 images. It consumes 1 second to inflate. So
Mm-hmm.
then I went through all the libraries like Glide, Picasso, and everything. So then
Mm-hmm.
found out somehow a better way to handle these things using the Glide.
Mm-hmm.
So then implemented the proper downsampling in the Glide, and then proper moving to different thread to render those images.
Mm-hmm.
So this saves us from one image view previously consumed 50 milliseconds. Now it consumed 2.3 milliseconds.
Wow.
Then of course, yeah. Then after that, we are having. That was an XML, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
XML, one kind of viewers. So consider one. We have three kinds of UI. All
Mm-hmm.
those three kinds of UI were there in our XML.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so for one type of user, we need to show one UI, and we need to hide the other two
Mm-hmm.
UIs.
Mm-hmm.
And for the second type of viewers, we need to show the second UI, and we need to hide first and third.
Mm-hmm.
Same goes for the third. But in our
Mm-hmm.
XML, all the three UIs were there, and then we will by default Android will inflate all those three UIs.
Mm-hmm.
That took some time. So
Mm-hmm.
then I went with the view stub. So what view stub basically does is it won't render you unless you need.
Mm-hmm.
When the
More like,
user is
yeah,
type, sorry.
more like lazy initialization, something like that.
Yes, lazy initialization.
Yeah.
So only when you need, it will start to render that. It will
Mm-hmm.
inflate that particular view.
Mm-hmm.
So most of our users were in the type one category. Only
Mm-hmm.
3 to 2% were belong to the second two types of the category. So used view stubs here, so that reduced a lot of amount of time. It reduced about 1 to 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were doing so many uh, uh, work in the main thread that I moved to background thread using Kotlin coroutines. And
Mm-hmm.
then also we are doing so many steps that were not independent, that were not dependent to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so consider your logic is running,
Mm-hmm.
and then another logic is running
Mm-hmm.
after that. That is not dependent at all. They can both run in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, identified such kind of things, and then ran those things in parallelly using the coroutines, async and await. So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of optimization saves me around 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah. So and one more thing is about that tab layout. These are like it is consuming some 800 milliseconds. Then we implemented our own custom tab layout, and these are like the drawer layout that also consuming 1 second to include.
Mm-hmm.
Because in drawer layout we have 20 items, but out of those 20 items, we will show only five to the user
Mm-hmm.
based on the type of the user. So that
Mm-hmm.
also we customized, and based on the login response, we will at runtime we will draw only whatever is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the all those things saves us around 6 to 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Super
Yeah,
interesting.
so
Yeah, that's some super interesting stuff. Being someone who does not have a lot of experience in XML as such, and a very less experience in Android overall, because by the time I was becoming an Android developer, Compose was around, and Compose had made a lot of things easier. But yeah, I think as more and more complex, because for example, the company that I work in, Geeks for Geeks, recently they were also optimizing for a lot of things in their runtime, and I got to know that there's a lot more to XML loading as compared to just thinking of XML when we are making practice or toy projects by ourselves. But yeah, super interesting stuff. Do you have a blog for this somewhere, or do you have some kind of uh, insights or videos that we can learn from? um, can you provide some kind of links so that people who want to learn can learn from that?
okay, so how to optimize the
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can probably I can send you the link. So yeah, I just researched in YouTube how to
Mm,
basically the CPU profiler
mm,
that you need to learn about. Because
yeah.
it will show what all the current threads are currently running, and which part of your code is blocking the main thread so much amount
Mm,
of time, and it will show the which part of your code is running how much time in the other threads as well.
Super
Yeah,
interesting
so that
stuff.
was very helpful. Yeah.
I actually wanted some advice regarding XML as well, because I tend to think that I'm not that good at XML as
Mhm.
compared to Compose, because I've been making my own app in Compose, and I've been thinking around Compose in a lot because I've been trying to optimize Compose as compared to XML, where I think a lot of companies are still in XML, or very few companies are in Compose. Um, do you have any advice to like improve your XML as such, or improve have the basics down, so that when you go into a company you understand how to make good decisions while writing your own compose, so I mean XML. Yeah.
Yeah, XML. So in XML, you mainly have to follow the constraint layout. because that gives you the flatter hierarchy. If you write in a linear layout or a relative layout, if you use that, that will have some next nested childs. But in
Mm-hmm.
constraint layout, everything is like a siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever consider you're having the relative layout. Inside that you have some linear layout, and inside that you have some text view. If you need to access that text view, the Android should go from the top. It should go from relative and then linear and then the text view. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're everything, if you're going to write everything in the constraint layout, so inside that constraint layout, you can directly place the text view. And
Mm-hmm.
if you need to have multiple views that is anchored between others, then it basically it needs to pass only once.
Mm-hmm.
It will be like of one. I mean, it should straightly go to consider and whatever the view you needed. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my advice in the XML, and you need to uh, go through how the view is inflating first of all.
Mm-hmm.
What are the passes it is going, what to which are the methods it is going, some view and then to on measure calls and then the draw calls, how much time it is going, and when you're changing anything inside the XML, because most of the companies we have to work with the legacy code base,
Mm-hmm.
very old code bases that was designed mainly in the XML.
Mm-hmm.
And during their MVP time, most of us don't used to write in the constant layout. Everything was right in the they some developers may have written in the linear layout or relative layout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that. But at this point of time, you need to optimize them since your company grow much larger.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to learn about how the view is rendering, and how the XML is inflating each views and how it is positioning, and even
Mm-hmm.
when you're changing the any animation or if you're doing any animation, how it affects other views,
Mm-hmm.
the sibling views or the child views, how it is affecting. So
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things you need to learn. Apart from that, you can straight away jump inside the consent level and you can start work.
Mm-hmm. Super
Yeah,
interesting
but
stuff.
we have tried Compose as well. But if you compare Compose with the XML,
Mm-hmm.
so in for this optimization, first I tried to use the lazy column from the Compose,
Mm-hmm.
but Recycler view performs better than the Compose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Compose, that purely based on the business model and the needs. Currently,
Mm-hmm.
our need is to optimize everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't go well with the Compose. But if you
Mm-hmm.
see, if we need to follow the state management and if we need to follow the reactive UI, then yeah, that is the need from the business side. Then we have to go with the Compose.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I overall get it. I think again, the there's always been a relation between what Compose and XML does, but I think XML overall is a very mature technology as compared to
Yes.
Compose. Compose is very new, and it will
Mm-hmm.
really take time to optimize and
Mm-hmm.
understand what are the best practices for Compose as such. XML has been around for a while, and of course, there are a lot of big companies who have a lot of XML code, and we need to
Mm-hmm.
have both down, Compose
Mm-hmm.
and XML for the longer run, so that we can understand what's the future and what's the past, and overall work them together. And that's what I think so is the challenge of Android as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Overall, like I've seen that experience in Android as an developer values much more than what you know, because it might be that you are a 2 year experience guy, 3 year experience guy who knows a lot in Android development, but experience in of 6 7 years, yeah, maybe overheads any knowledge I've ever seen by far. So, what do you give? How do you give advice to someone who is just starting out as an Android developer who wants to understand and grow as a developer overall? And yeah, what's your advice to them so that they can become a better Android developer in the future? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not particular to Android developer, but for every developer who are there in the front end. I mean, if you're on a 1 or 2 year experience or up to 4 years, it is okay. I mean, whatever you're doing, you do good. And especially if you're in Android development, rather than develop web development, in Android development, you're going to implement so many design patterns, and then you need to follow the solid principles as well. That is
Mm-hmm.
very similar thing to the backend.
Mm-hmm.
You need to follow the some architecture like MVP or MVVM as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see in web, we don't follow that kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But in Android, we need to follow. We need
Mm-hmm.
to other to those principles. So
Mm-hmm.
that will help you to understand the backend code very much easier. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are in a starting stage, yeah, Android development is okay. Try to learn what are the stuffs in the Android SDK, how to use the platform, and how to use the UI, how to render the UI. That is okay. But going forward, you need to learn about these design principles as well, because
Mm-hmm.
once you become like a five to over the 5 years of experience guy,
Mm-hmm.
you're no longer going to do that much amount of coding. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so if you see till 4 years of experience, I will code. I mean, if I have 10 days of work, I have to code for 10 days. But if you
Mm-hmm.
ask me, I have to code only for the 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
Remaining 4 days, I have to do the design and architectural things.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, you need to have some high-level design principle. You should be aware of low-level design principles as well. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so while going through, you have to learn those things as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the you have to study the solid, and you have to study the all those design patterns, and you need to aware how to apply,
Mm-hmm.
where you need to apply. And also you need to be aware of what are the latest trend that is enhancing our app development. So
Mm-hmm.
consider, yeah, in starting it is okay, but going through you need to learn about the UTs and E2s as well, like unit testing and end-to-end testings as well. You need to
Mm-hmm.
start implement how to write those unit testings and end-to-end. And if you want to write a unit test and end-to-end test, it is not that simpler. You need to
Mm-hmm.
implement the dependency injection library as well, like a Dagger or Coin. Then
Mm-hmm.
only you can able to, I mean, it is very easier to write UTs and E2s. So you try to learn what are the latest trends and what are the latest things that is coming inside the languages as well, like in Kotlin. Previously we are using RS Java everywhere, but after
Mm-hmm.
Kotlin flow came, yeah, it is very much simpler than the RS Java. So you try to
Mm-hmm.
learn the latest trends as well. But this design principle is a must for every developer, I say,
Mm-hmm.
because once
Right.
your code base grows,
Mm-hmm.
then it should scale a lot of users, and finding a bug it should be easier, and adding any new features also should be easier, and it should not disturb the existing feature. How can
Mm-hmm.
you achieve these things is by implementing the design principles and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yes.
Overall, I think as with the experience, people tend to go towards architecture and overall management of
Mm, yes.
the very large code base,
Mm,
and
mm,
the
mm,
UI and how the UI looks is tasked towards people with less experience, and
yes.
because they tend to learn and grow overall, and I think so. The management part goes with the experience as well, and comes along with um the good design principles, overall a very good experience of how different apps have been structured, and coming through different companies will also help senior engineers manage a very big
Mm,
code base, which I don't think junior developers can.
mm,
And
mm.
yeah, that's
And you need to know about the overall process as well, like what is happening in the backend as well.
mm,
Because whenever any production issue came, the first person they will ask is you with the 7 years experience guy,
mm,
or someone who's at the lead level. They will
mm,
come to you first. So you need to be aware of whatever happening in the backend as well. And almost most of the companies will have their own analytical tools to find the issues. You
mm,
need to learn about those as well.
mm, I get
Yeah.
it. Like Yeah, this were some of the questions on the technical side that I had.
Mm.
Other than that, I will kind of go on a tangent here and ask you about, like, do you have your own app released in the public in the Play Store, or like that? Do you have any apps in the public right now?
Yeah, currently I don't have anything, but I have made some freelance apps. Like my last app is some home the home automation app in the Flutter. But that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I will usually do and then I will ship to others. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
whether that is going to for a release or something, but I haven't released. Yeah, of course. I need to focus on that. I need to come up with any small ideas. I need to create some apps and release to Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
That was happened during my college time. As I told you, I
Mm-hmm.
was very keen on doing these kind of things. But yeah, once I started to work, yeah, slowly everything fades away. Again, I need to start.
Yeah, I think so. It's the difference in how people think apps work, because if you have a very large code base already written
Mm,
and a lot of
mm,
functions, that utilities that are already present
mm,
in the app, we tend to not value them as such. But when you start
mm,
to make an app from the scratch, we try to see that's a we try to we think that it's a very different skill, because we have to make the utilities and everything that we are using in our actual code base from scratch itself.
mm,
And
mm,
it's a of course it's very exciting, but again, it's a headache in when you
yeah,
are making something from scratch. And I think so it's a total different skill. And
yeah,
I think every developer should at least have an app in, if you are an app developer, I think so, release an app in the public. That would be
yes,
super
yes, yes.
interesting stuff. And
Mm,
if that app gets a lot of downloads, I would love to see a lot of founders in and around the app. That will also
mm,
boost the app industry overall.
mm.
That would be
Ah, yes.
super interesting stuff.
Mm,
Other than that, I wanted to ask around some interview process, and I wanted some advice overall for as an Android developer. Do you have any advice for someone who is just maybe switching their job or starting to look for their first Android development role? Do you have any advice on how to get started and have the basics down and get their own first job, or maybe switch their job? How to do it? Yeah.
I mean, if you're out of college, then yeah, Android development is not needed.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're going for internship, then basic DS and Algo is what you need, and they will choose. I mean, into which area you have to work, and they will choose. And then if you're having some experience in Android, but if you want to switch, okay, then
Hmm.
I mean, if you have 2 to 4 years of experience and if you need to switch, then I would like to focus on the internal working.
Hmm.
I mean, how we are using so many libraries now,
Hmm.
like a Dagger, like Retrofit,
Hmm.
Glide, image loading library,
Hmm.
those kind of. And then we are also using the view model, and
Hmm.
we have to mainly focus on what is happening under the hood.
Mhm.
So consider your view model is giving you the data, even giving you the same data, even if you rotate the device, and you need to know how it is giving to you.
Mm, mhm.
And if your retrofit library is providing you the cached network response, then you should be knowing how it is doing under the hood.
Mhm.
Also, if you are doing the consider Kotlin coroutines,
Mhm.
yeah, you cannot. I mean, interviewers they simply don't expect how we are using the coroutines because it is easier to use the coroutines. Though,
Mhm.
so they need what is happening internally.
Mhm.
So mostly, I would suggest everyone to go through how everything is happening internally, and
Mhm.
apart from these things, for Android development, yeah, you need to know about the UI from the UI's perspective. You need to know about the how what is the Android's life cycle and the notification services, and most importantly, the latest trend, what they have introduced in the new OS Android 15 and what they have going to introduce in the next Android version. Those kind of things you need to know about those.
Mhm. Mhm.
And also
Okay.
one more thing is you need to be have some knowledge. This is for me. You need to have some knowledge. I mean, it is always helpful for you to be medium level problem solving, and you should be knowing medium level questions like problem solving and data structures.
Mm-hmm. Super
Because
interesting.
for startup companies, problem solving on DSA not that much needed, because everything they need to ship fast. But
Mm-hmm.
consider you're going to work in a large companies like Google or Amazon or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything is written for them. They have shipped the MVPs, and they are making great revenues out of it. Now they become giant, and everything for them is they need to optimize.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see such companies, if you see in the startup, they are going to release twice a month, or they are going to release on a weekly basis. But if you
Mm-hmm.
see companies like Google, they will release the app whenever it is ready, or quarterly,
Mm-hmm.
like that. So they will ask you to optimize those things. So for that to optimize, you need the medium level knowledge on the data structures and the algorithms.
Mm-hmm. Get it.
Yeah.
100% it's true that you need DSA, and of course you need the basics down and internals down, because I think very popular questions are like, explain the internals of a view model. And
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have the basics down, if you're building your own apps, if you have the basics of your DSA down overall, you will be good to go. And while you're switching or maybe starting out as a developer as an Android, um, that's what my thinking is, at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, I kind of will go on a tangent here again, and these were actually all of the questions that I had on the technical Android development side. I will go on a tangent here and talk about a little about personal finances there. So when I was thinking about personal finances in a sense that when you have your own, when we have a good amount of money as a developer, how do you manage your money overall? Like, what's your division of your salary? Let's just say that you get your salary and then you divide that salary as, this much is my rent, this is my spending in food, this much will go into investing, this much I will save. How do you divide that? What's your thinking on that?
Yeah, so for me, I'm at a very basic level in investing my money, because right now I'm not doing any kind of trading, or I'm not investing in mutual funds.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, we are buying gold, or if there are any, we are investing in lands.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's all. We are not in such a situation where we can take this much risk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
golden lands are always not that much risk. So we
Mm-hmm.
are we are aligned towards that only. But yeah, in future, maybe if we are over with this gold or land, maybe I will switch to the mutual funds or stocks. But for me, is managing your expenses is more important than managing your income.
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, if you see, um, we should not spend on unnecessary things like food. I mean, going out for eating. Yeah, you can do because you're earning. Of course, you need to enjoy, but that
Mm-hmm.
can be like twice a month or a wrap. You can
Mm-hmm.
have that cheap meal once in a while. But apart from that, you can invest on the personal growth, and then you can invest on your health. And
Mm-hmm.
apart from this, the most important is to live debt free for me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you're a salaried person, then living in a debt free lifestyle is much more important for me. Maybe for me, I don't buy anything in EMI, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't buy anything luxurious things in EMI.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to save the things, and then I'll go and buy that all. So
Mm-hmm.
that is my advice to others. And then apart from that, uh, yeah, that's all. I don't invest much on the tradings and the other things,
Mm-hmm.
mostly on the gold and lands.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Again, the very safe side approach towards
Yes, yes.
finances.
mm,
because it's a age-old approach to get
mm,
gold, get lands. These are
mm.
always good. If you have a plot, do not invest in please do not invest in flats because they are devalued over time.
Yes.
Please always invest in plots. If you do not
Mm,
know real estate, do not
mm,
invest in such things. Ask a very good
mm,
advisor for it.
mm, mm.
Again, other than that, I think personal finances, again, as you said, you have to be frugal and you have to be very, yeah, have a good perspective about your finance expenses, because again, if you have a very good money to back you up, um, it will give you the freedom to enjoy your life
Yes,
without any a lot of overhead
yes.
into thinking like what will happen next. We don't
Mm.
have this much money saved, what will happen next? So
Yes.
yeah, to enjoy
Yeah,
your
that's
life.
what I'm saying. This is one kind of a stable life.
Yeah, again, yeah, it's just money will always give you freedom.
Yes,
The money that you'll save, and that the money is will give you an the highway towards your dreams that you want to do overall. And
yes,
in the longer run, that's the road most people want to take. If you're
yes,
I think that expenses and such should be controlled, because if um if the money is not if the expenses are not controlled, what will happen is people tend to lose sight of where this money goes. And
yes,
in the longer run, you tend to lose your freedom and you become a slave to this
yes,
emis, debt, and a lot of stuff. So
yes.
yeah, super safe and interesting advice. Other than that, I want to kind of ask you about like insurances a little bit. Do you have life insurance? Do you have health
Yes.
insurance? What's your thinking on that? Um,
Yeah, those were important. And like on the life insurance, health insurance is must for everyone,
mm,
because if you see, all our savings can go away in a single hospital bill.
100%.
So, yeah, yeah. So insurance is very much important. I think most of the companies were giving, but apart from that, you need to go for some external health insurance also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that is a must investment for me, and I have invested in there also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you need to check out which area you're living in, and because people will choose the regular. They will go to the one hospital regularly for all kind of problems. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to verify those things, whether you're a networking hospital, or at least it should not be in the excluded list.
Mm-hmm.
And in major cities, some hospital will have the specialized treatment for a particular, for any kind, for one treatments.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to consider those as well, and you need to verify, of course. You need to verify what are the things it is covering, and what are the things it is not covering. What is the room rent limit, and
Mm-hmm.
those kinds as well. Those things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do not know what this room rent and
Mm,
how this impacts your overall claim in the insurance. And I've
mm,
seen a lot of employees just value that they tend to think that the companies provide me insurance. It's okay, I
mm,
have my insurance.
mm,
But please
mm.
look at your insurance and ask if your company has haven't provided you with your health insurance papers. Please ask them with your papers and try
Yes.
to study what are the sublimits of these things. What is
Mm,
the room rent? What do you have reimbursement? Do you have like cashless? What's your what's your sublimits on different diseases as well? So yeah, there's a lot of things to figure out in life and health insurance as well. So for anyone who's watching, I think so health insurance and life insurance is a must. And other than that, I think just have a good saving amount for at least 6 months. That will give you a very good
yeah.
leeway, even if you
Yes.
leave your job. And that's what my
Yes.
thinking
Yes.
is, at least. Mm,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, yeah. These were all the questions and from my side. If you have any advice for me or someone who's watching this podcast before parting away, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're doing exceptionally very good job here, and yeah, for your age, I mean, you have the very curious about what to learn and building up a community. It is a very good. I think yeah, you have to keep up this thing.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, again, thank you for taking your time out for me, and thank you for mentoring me with the session. It was super
yeah,
interesting. I'll of course try to learn more about performance, and I'll try to link all of the things that you provide me, so that other people
okay.
can learn as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for coming
thank
on.
you, thank you, thanks, Hitesh. Thanks.
Hello, hello. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And if you did, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And again, thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.